Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome back to my channel. And I am not wearing gray. There you go. Nice festive Hawaiian shirt. Let me tilt this just a little bit so you guys can see it. Love this. Might be vintage. Never really sure on this one. It is rayon. It's definitely a men's. Oh, I've got some cleavage going on there. I love the print, but I'm not sure if it's a reproduction that is just a very good quality reproduction or if it is an actual Hawaiian shirt. It has a tag in it that's really old. There was no R tag. It had been cut out, so I don't really know. But so what a week. I have a ton of simplicity patterns over here, some of which I couldn't even actually get to. I ran out of time, just like about 6, maybe 7, right? So not a lot, but enough. And I also picked up some more patterns at Goodwill. You guys saw that in the videos. We'll look at those. And yesterday I went to an estate sale. Funny story. Go to the estate sale. I see the box of patterns. I had seen it in a picture. And the funny thing was, is in the picture, they were actually showing a vintage radio, but I could see a Butterick pattern like over here, or I think it was the McCall's pattern. It was like over here. And I'm thinking, oh, that's a box of patterns, right? So go there. Had texted the woman ahead of time saying, I'm interested in the patterns. How many are there? Are they used? Blah, blah. She never answered me. So I go there. I said, I was the person who contacted you. I was interested in the patterns. She said, oh, I was so busy. I'm like, no, I completely understand. I'm like, how much do you want for them? And she goes, $50. And I'm like, no. These patterns. I could already tell that a lot of them were cut. What I found out later was that most of them were cut. But they were some interesting patterns. So even though they're cut, I think I have already recouped some of my money back. So anyway, we keep going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I was like, how about I just take a look and I'll just take out the ones I want, because I could see kids' patterns. I really didn't want them. Anyway, oh, no, I'd rather sell it as a lot. Then she gets to 35. I'm like, I only have 20 on me. And then she's like, okay, how about 25? I've just told her I only have 20 on me. And I said, well, I only have 20 on me. And she says, well, do you have Venmo? And I'm like, no. I said, I have PayPal and I have Zelly, but I don't have Venmo. And I'm like, I can send it to you later. And she's like, oh. And then she got kind of snippy with me. And she was like, oh, never mind. I'll just take 20 for them. And I'm thinking to myself, one, they're in a garage. So you just made $20 on stuff you didn't even know you had last week. Number one. Number two, I'm really curious if she's with one of those companies that does estate sales, because if you're like me and you go to estate sales, and I go a fair amount, there are these companies and they do this thing where they price things really high. Then they cut them in half the next day. But I am not kidding you. I have seen stuff that I saw at an estate sale, didn't get for whatever reason. Maybe it wasn't my thing. And then I go into Goodwill a week later and it's on the shelf in Goodwill and it still has the estate sale tag on it. And I'm like, I feel like they go to these people and they say, oh yeah, let us take care of this. We'll get top dollar for all your mom's stuff, right? And then they just overcharge so much that nobody ends up buying anything. But anyway, I got her down. So with that said, let's take a look at the stuff that I found in those patterns, because I actually didn't find anything this week in Mrs. Lander's patterns. So we're going to take a look at the stuff I found in the patterns that I got at the estate sale. So let's start with this fabric, which is very all right, actually, I think this is the right side. It's just like a ditzy print. I'm going to fold it up a little bit so you guys can see it better. It's cute. It's like a purple rosebud. Maybe that's fuchsia. I'm not sure what that would be considered, but it's like a fuchsia rosebud. It's pretty. It's cotton. It's not a quilting cotton. You can tell because it's a little too thin for a quilting cotton. To me, it feels like a cotton broadcloth that would be used for like shirting material, something like that. Oh, this was in one of the patterns. This was just crazy to me. So it is the program from, and I don't kind of see the date. I'm trying to see what the date is, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it doesn't have the date, but it has the date, not the year date. And it's basically a breakdown of a fashion show. But I love this. I think it might be from the 70s. Just saying. That was in there. This was in here. This was in one of the patterns. Just a reminder that Thanksgiving is coming early. No idea what that number's for, but and then there was this. Now this is from 1976, because when you look inside, it's some type of you know what? Remember back in the day, because this is how old I am, when women's clubs used to have these get-togethers or fundraisers, and it was stuff like this, right? It was like a fashion show, and you could get your turkey and, all that stuff. But this is 1976, September, and it's the Christmas designs. Yeah, so to meet our designers. Old, I don't know what that is, something flowers, gifts and sweet shop. And I don't know where this is because I don't know where West Burnside is. But 223 isn't an extension where I live, so I don't know what it is. So then, first of all, it was this next thing. Let me show you what it was in. It was in a vintage Wonder bag, right? I feel like if I sell this, I need to sell it in the Wonder bag because the two of them together are such an odd couple. There we go. They cut the top off. I did think about keeping this to put around my feet this coming winter, but I decided to just, give it to whoever gets this. Okay, so I don't know what this is from. I don't know what this is, but it is directions to make. It's a stretch and sew halter dress for pattern 1390, and it is the directions. So then I'm like, okay, well, let me see if these are the pieces. Here are the pieces to the halter dress. And here's the really crazy part of this. Here's the skirt piece. And can you see the directions that are handwritten on this? So I'm going to bundle this up and sell it as like a curiosity, because to me it is incredibly like funny, but kind of cool, Oops, sorry, dropping stuff on the floor. And then the other thing, let's take a look at the patterns I'm going to keep. So from the patterns I bought this week at from the patterns I bought last week at Goodwill, there was this pattern in my size that was cut. And, I'm very shy about jackets, but this one can actually be made with a stretch knit. And I have quite a lot of this stretch knit that I got also at Goodwill. So I thought I'll give it a try. And then when I was working on Mrs. Lander's patterns today, I found this in my size, and it is from like 1981. And it's just basically, it's a shirt dress, but it's a really nice shirt dress. I don't need the vest. Right? But it was the 80s, so we had to have a vest. So what did I get at let me show you first what we got at Goodwill, and then we'll talk about the stuff I found at the estate sale. And yeah, so Goodwill unfortunately had, you guessed it, baby patterns, but it is super cute. This one is partially cut. This bonnet here was cut, but the rest of the pieces for all these other bonnets are still in there. They're still factory folded. So these are, by the way, already online. I just put them up online before I showed them to you just to kind of get them out of the way because, there was this See and Sew for a handbag. There was this. It's a Raggedy Ann and Andy, and it's all the different sizes of the dolls plus the clothes. And then there was this that for some reason is a very expensive pattern. I priced mine cheaper than everybody else, but still felt kind of strange pricing it at what I did. Now, there was another craft pattern that was for a memory bear. And it was only one bear. And it was, if you don't know what a memory bear is, you take your kids' onesies, or probably not onesies, dresses or whatever, and you take the fabric and you make a bear out of it. So I really didn't even think that this would get sold. Well, it sold like the day after I posted it. I was like, wow, that's really quick. And then we had this little girl's pattern. This is super cute, but you know me and the kids' patterns. Yeah. This one was cut, but was this cut? Maybe this wasn't cut. No, this was cut. But the only thing cut was the tank top. And I thought, well, nobody cares about that, right? It's the bottoms you want. And then we had this. I don't know who Marcy Tilton is, but I've sold an awful lot of stuff by her. She's apparently a Vogue designer, and her stuff is very popular. And then there was this. And interestingly enough, this one and the next pattern are already in somebody's cart. So that was kind of cool because, at least this time at Goodwill, I went through and I picked out the patterns that were not cut. And then I put all the patterns that were cut, because they're 7 to a bag. I counted out 7. I put them all back into a bag. And that's what I ended up doing. And they were fine with it. I told them I was doing it, and the manager was fine with it. And so that was all the stuff from Goodwill. So not a bad haul from Goodwill. Now here is the estate sale. So I will tell you what was cut and uncut. So this was one of the first ones that I found in the box. The patterns are not well organized. They were not well cared for, but we'll see what we can do. There was this one, which interestingly, I went to look it up online to see if I could find a number. And there's multiples of this pattern. Several people are selling this. Nobody has a number on it. So I don't know if it was ever assigned a number or what, but it is kind of a cool pattern. This is called like a smock or a butcher's apron, but it's actually a wrap dress. The whole thing wraps around you. So hopefully it'll sell. And this, by the way, cow neck, it's for knits. It's Jiffy for knits, which I guess was an endeavor that they did. So this pattern was completely cut, but when I went online, I found out that it's actually, people really like this pattern. So there were only a couple of them, and the price was really good on them. And it is kind of cottagecore. I mean, like, this one's very cottagecore, right? And then, okay, I'm saving the best for last, by the way. So there was also this. Now, this was interesting. This bathing suit was cut. All the rest of the pieces for these other bathing suits, still factory folded. So that was a great find. Do I have this upside down? No, I have it right side up. So that was a great find because, I mean, the funny thing is I think I had this bathing suit with like the strap that went down, but then it like pinched in the middle. Pretty sure I had that bathing suit back in the old days when the dinosaurs roamed the earth and I could wear a bikini without people, without small children pointing at me and crying. And then there's this. Oh my God, look at this prom dress. It's from 1983, which was the year I graduated from high school. It is the most insanely cool prom dress. And if I'd gone to my prom in 83, this would have been the dress I wanted. So someone made this. They actually made this one, but they did not use the big ruffly bow thing. So in the package, the skirt's cut and the bodice is cut, but all these ruffly pieces and the peplum and this big bow, all uncut. And then some of the, I'm trying to remember, I think it was this, the more like bustier piece, and this one, uncut. So yeah, so pretty happy with the estate sale. It wasn't great. It wasn't horrible. The rest of the patterns are either a craft pattern or a children's pattern. Actually, I'm lying to you. I'm wrong. There is one Vogue pattern, but someone altered it and they used pieces of like the white tissue paper you use to put in gifts and tape. So I have to slowly and very carefully remove as much of that as possible, see what the condition is, and it should be up next week. So let's get to the simplicity patterns, and let's start with the ones that I actually wasn't able to get to. So this was kind of a long week for me.
I didn't do as much processing of patterns as I wanted to. And then literally 2 minutes before I sat down here, my sister delivered a filing cabinet that my boss gave me. And it's like these, it's like the ones I have for the Simplicity, but it's deeper and wider, and it doesn't have the preset things in it. You can move them for the McCalls, because the McCalls patterns are now spilling out, because the McCalls patterns are a dresser. That's what I use for them, to store them. And it's just like a tall mid-century dresser that somebody painted blue. I don't know why. I always want to take the blue off and see if this is a beautiful, like, mid-century modern piece that some idiot painted electric blue. But I haven't done it yet. But that's where I've been storing the McCalls. Originally, it's where I stored all patterns until I just ran out of space. And that's been where I've been storing the McCalls. Well, no, they're overflowing now. I have so many, and think about it. I have less McCalls than I do Simplicity, and I'm still overflowing. The Butterick cabinets, almost full. Like, they're over to the second cabinet, and then the rest of that cabinet is going to be C&So. The Simplicity straight across, full. I have to figure out how I'm fitting these in, right? But they can sit on their own for a little bit until I have more room. And then I'll just, as people buy stuff, they buy stuff, right? So, okay. So let's start with the first one. Like I said, I didn't get to these yet, so they're not online. Most of these patterns are not online. I photographed them today. Yesterday was really overcast. I couldn't get really good photos of the patterns, the envelopes. So I did it this morning, but it kind of put me, okay, look at how cool this dress is. There's the front, but look at the back. It is a button back dress. And it does have that very 80s thing with the shoulder pads. But look at that one. I think it's view 3. Look at that. Woo! Sexy. As usual in here, there was a lot of really great basic patterns, like this one, just like a basic kind of oversized cotton shirt. I actually really like this one down here. Not my size, though. Is it? No, it's 12. And wardrobe patterns. This was a great wardrobe pattern. It's got all the pieces. But she was, I like that about Mrs. Landers. A lot of these patterns that she has are great patterns because they're just like a really versatile skirt pattern, a really versatile pants pattern. They're not like fussy, I guess would be the right word. Oh, and here's 2 patterns that I found that are cut that were in Mrs. Landers' patterns, but they were cut, including this one. It's vests, but this one comes with transfers, and nobody ever used the transfers, but they did cut out this vest here, which is actually the ugliest of all the vests. Someone made the ugly vest, but yeah, it's like, what, 6 kinds of vests? So, because we loved a vest in the 80s. All right, so let's just dive right in. I'm just going to grab some patterns. In spite of the fact that I didn't do as many as I liked, which you know me, I say that every week, right? I did do a lot of patterns this week. Just going through them, processing them, seeing, what kind of condition they're in. So here's what I'm talking about again. Just really good, basic patterns where, like this is the kind of shirt pattern. You could make every shirt on here and then do the combinations of like the pockets with the shorter sleeves and I love that about her. It is really fun to get super cool, weird Vogue patterns of things that are like, like really strange looking or avant-garde. But there's also something to be said for just a great skirt pattern or a great pants pattern or shorts or whatever, a great dress pattern or a wardrobe pattern that is, has a great set in it. Some of these are very 80s, aren't they? I look at these and some of these, like this one by Ole Cassidi. Oh, yeah.
right? I know. It's kind of funny when you think about it. I mean, not funny, haha. And I swear I already have this skirt, but I can't find it in my patterns. And I also think I own this skirt. Maybe not, because this one actually has a petticoat pattern with it, which is great. You know, this is going to sell really quick because it's kind of cottagecore. But if you think that's cottagecore, I have the ultimate cottagecore shirt is in here. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, wow. The cottagecore girls are going to go crazy when they see this one. I must say, I didn't remember how really nice basic dresses were back in the 80s. And I say basic in a good way, not in the modern text of basic, like, you know, the kind of dress you could just like make in a couple hours once you cut out the fabric and then throw in the washing machine, but you still looked good, because I can tell you it doesn't happen so much anymore. I'm always very shocked that the young women, the high school girls on my bus dress so big. I mean, one girl came in one day, she had pajama bottoms, a hoodie, and then she actually had like a fleece blanket like wrapped around her. She was wearing her backpack in the front of her body, and she had the fleece blanket up over her head. And I'm thinking, girl, what is going on with you? Like, come on. Yeah. All right. So this pattern, when I saw it, I thought, well, that's a 70s pattern. It's not. It's 1980s. Technically makes it into the cut as ladies of the 80s. And, you know, there is nothing more ladies of the 80s than this, except this does remind me of Julie, the cruise director from The Love Boat, right? It totally looks like Julie's uniform. And then again, like I was saying, great skirt pattern. And can you see, I can't remember if this is called a box pleat. I think it's called an inverted pleat, but cute skirts. Pleated, unpleated. And then I don't even know what to call this pattern. I'm going to put it in the Western wear because, yeah, but I'm kind of speechless from that one. I don't understand that at all. You know, the funny thing is usually, like, if I say I think the pattern's ugly, someone buys it. I'm like, what is it? Is it like, do I just have horrible taste and I don't know it, or what? And I don't know what this is all about. I guess this would be cute in any other color besides shiny marigold, but you know. Oh, and this pattern. Had I seen this pattern, I would have used this for the update for, you know, the like coming attraction thing, because look at how 80s that is. That crazy. So 80s. It's so Fast Times at Ridgemont High, right? It's very Phoebe Cates looking, as is this one. This one to me seems a little more mature though, but I did have a velour top, the V-neck velour top. I'm trying to remember. I want to say it was like a, not really baby blue, but like a light blue. Who knows? It doesn't matter, because these clothes, even if I still had them, they wouldn't fit me anymore. Nope. All right. Okay. Here's what I'm talking about. Simple dress. Throw it on. You know, you make it out of cotton. You throw it on. Throw it in the washing machine. That's it. And you look great. Even if you're just wearing flip-flops, you look great in a dress like that. Everybody thinks you're dressed up. This one's really cute too. This one I don't like so much, but look at the wrap one. Cool, right? I really like the wrap one. I thought that was a really nice dress. And this perky little outfit, woohoo! So it's the shorts, the top, and the jeans. And I like that the shorts are not part of the jeans pattern. It's a whole separate set of pieces, and they're pleated and they're a little wide. Isn't that kind of cool? And then calling all Sailor Moon fans, I have a feeling this will probably go the way of a cosplay pattern, because it does have a very Sailor Moon kind of thing, you know. And the nice thing is you can also wear it as a shirt. And then, yeah, look, let's get physical. It was the beginning of the end for us. We had to exercise. Right. And this is from when people only wore that stuff to the gym. Yeah, don't mean to shame anybody who wears sweats all the time, all day, everywhere. But yeah, really pretty top, right? but bam, it buttons up the back, right? Like I thought it was kind of an okay top until I realized it buttoned up the back, and I thought, God, that's probably really pretty. And then a really simple top. This one was cute. Just, really simple. This one's a wrap, which is really cool. Oh, and it's hard to see, but see this detail back here? It's also like over here on the sleeve. So it's like kind of a yoke top. This is super cute. Oh, and this next one, this next ESP pattern. This is a wrap skirt, and it's really hard to see, but can you guys see? I'm going to get a close up. Can you guys see the pocket? The pocket is like a patch squared pocket. And I was like, wow, that is cool. When I was going through it, I could see it in the directions. I was like, that's a cool skirt. All right. We are getting there. We are getting to the bottom of the bin. Wow. So, great pattern. Shorts, capris, and they're all separate patterns. So the Bermuda shorts and the shorts are not the same pattern that you're cutting down. The capris are a different pattern, and the pants are a different pattern. And like the capris have a very small pleat, whereas the trousers have multi-pleats. Another really cute dress. Just nice summer dress. A little cottagecore, a tiny bit cottagecore. Oh, and she had so many top patterns, but the top patterns were great because they weren't necessarily blouses. They were like this pullover style where you just kind of pop it over, what we used to call popover blouse. I don't know if that's still a term, just a little asymmetrical cotton blouse. Here's what I'm talking about with the dresses. So cute. So cute. I don't like the sleeve so much. I think if this was made with a lighter fabric, that sleeve would drape more like it does on this illustration. But, I know what they're going for. We're getting close to the cottagecore. Oh, there it is. All right, so this is pretty cottagecore also, but not as much as the next one. I don't remember cottagecore being so big. I mean, I kind of remember it, but not so much in the 80s. But it was apparently because we have patterns like this. Yes, it's basically the top of a dirndl. I was looking at it. It reminded me of the St. Pauli girl. And the dirndl I used to wear when I worked in a German restaurant. Yes, I don't know if I've ever told you guys that story. Back in the mid to late 90s, before I started working in the investment firm, I worked as a waitress in a Hofbrauhaus that was in Philadelphia. And I wore the dirndl. And yes, I pushed my boobs up to the heavens. And I made so much money serving beer and boobs. The two of them together, I get it. I get why they still wear dirndls at all of those places, because the waitresses are making a fortune. Early stretch knit serger pattern, by the way. All right. Another very pretty dress. Just very pretty. Has a very Western look. I might end up putting this under the Western stuff because to me it looks very Western, doesn't it? It also looks kind of square dance-ish. I don't know if that's a word. I don't know if you can conjugate square dance, but I just did. Ooh. All right, a couple more of the ESP patterns. So the ESP patterns I found, well, this is a suit. I think I already have this one actually, but we'll see. The ESP patterns, I hit like a whole bunch of these. It's the bottom. This is a circle skirt, by the way. I thought it was culottes for a split second. I thought it was culottes. It's not. It's a split skirt. And then it's got like the flounce kind of blouse going on. But they refer to them as two-piece dresses, which I love because you never see two-piece dresses anymore. And they're so nice because, especially when you make them with similar fabrics. Hello, Olivia. When you make them with like similar fabrics, they look like a dress. So Olivia, I wanted to know if you are the person who bought a pattern from me and then gave me a really great review. Because if you are, I was going to say thank you. Funny story. This week, a woman bought over $200 from patterns from me. And she bought one children's pattern. So because I segregate the children's patterns, I have them in a whole different drawer. Thank you so much, Olivia. That was a lovely, 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 um, a lovely, what's the word I'm looking for? I already forgot it. Anyway, she gave me a really good review. That's the word I'm looking for. She gave me a great review. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I have pretty much good reviews. I only have 2 bad reviews. I have a woman who didn't understand that she wasn't getting pillows when she bought a sewing pattern. And I have another woman who bought a children's pattern from me and thought that she was getting the clothes in the picture on the children's pattern. In spite of the fact that I did not ask her size, color, fabric, and she actually, her review was 1 star, and she wrote the word trash, all caps. And I was like, are you really? Like, lady? And she had contacted me. She was like, I don't understand. What is this? And I'm like, it's a sewing pattern. And she was crazy. And I actually, from talking to her, because she sent the emails where she contacted me, she used the kind of language that people use when they text. So it was all like those weird text abbreviations. And I'm like, I started to think, first I thought she was crazy and just stupid. And then I thought she might actually be like delayed developmentally or something, because the whole thing was weird. Like she was like, I don't understand what this is. I thought this was clothes. And I'm like, well, the ad says pattern, because all of my ads say pattern like at least 3 times, probably more for some of them, but whatever. All right. So this week, another connoisseur pattern. This is so cool. It's a double-breasted coat dress, which you don't see these very often, but they are kind of cool. And then, oh yeah, look at this. You know, they couldn't leave the vest. They had to do the vest because it's the 80s. And as I've said many times before, we loved the vest in the 80s and the 90s. This was super cute. I'm pretty sure I had a shirt really similar to this too at some point in time. That's the funny thing. I'm going through them and I'm like, oh yeah, Pam had that shirt. My friend Erin had that shirt. A Mary McFadden. Nice, huh? Very, very nice. And Kathy Hardwick again. Now that I know who she is. And this dress, which you all saw because I used it for the update, because it was just so 80s. Just all this asymmetrical, all that asymmetrical stuff. Now they're a little more cottagecore-ish dress. The funny thing is I just sold one that was really similar to this, just like this one actually. That was a McCall's pattern. I just sold it. Oh, I forgot to tell you the rest of the story. So this woman bought $200 worth of patterns from me. And one of them was a children's pattern. Because I store them separately, I'm like doing this like early in the morning, like before I go to work, right? So like 5 in the morning. I pull it out, I find the pattern she wants, and then directly behind it is another pattern. I pulled the one that was directly behind it and sent her the wrong pattern. So tomorrow I will be sending her a new pattern gratis. Because, yeah, and she spent so much money with me. It was great, though. It made my day. I was like, I looked and I see this dollar amount, and I'm just like, whoa, that's a big order. Oh, if you can't see this, Olivia is relating a story to me that someone that has another channel that does sewing called Jen's Sewing Room bought a vest pattern. And I'm like, I would have sent her one for free. And Olivia immediately thought of me. Not surprising. There were 2 of these. This was kind of a cool dress. This one, especially, very 1930s, man. If you do history bounding or you like 1930s, I mean, that is literally a 1930s dress. Late 20s, early 30s. I thought that was kind of a cool pattern. And then there were also 2 of these. They are the, is this a go everywhere? Oh, it doesn't say it on it. Yeah, it is. There it is right there. Go everywhere. So these go everywhere patterns, they were kind of cool. Another thing, just really cool. I like that she's always has the wardrobe patterns. They're some of my favorites. So next week, I will be concentrating on the rest of the simplicity, which is the, oops, sorry. This whole box of patterns is about to fall over. We won't mess with it then. Next week, I'm going to be concentrating on the rest of the simplicity, which is almost entirely 1970s. A couple of estate patterns. There were like one or two that I actually like left. One was a men's pattern from the 70s, and another one was a simplicity pattern from the 70s. And then after that, I have 4 days of school left after this week. So after that, we will officially be dipping into the kids' patterns, which I've had outside. They've been airing out. We had a couple really sunny days this week, so it was really nice to get them out in the sun, get them aired out, get them smelling better. Just basically kind of just, I don't want to throw away a bunch of patterns just because someone made the mistake of putting them in a basement. But I also don't want them to smell bad, So far, fingers crossed, knock on wood, no one has complained about the patterns smelling bad. So, yeah. And yeah, I have like 2 boxes of kids patterns. These are uncut kids patterns. We haven't even gotten to the cut patterns, but I can now see the floor in my bathroom. All the cut patterns are in their own separate boxes. I moved all of the patterns for crafts are sitting out here in the sewing room, just getting some sun in the window on the big table. With the kids patterns, I'm going to do McCall's first. So it's going to be not just McCall's. It's going to be McCall's plus we have one Vogue. We have like one New Look. Like it's really weird there. But then that same size box, I have a whole nother box that is nothing but simplicity. She really enjoyed simplicity. I mean, I'm glad that I got 2 simplicity filing cabinets from her because she really likes simplicity and I have all these simplicity patterns. So next week will be the last of the adult clothing. Then we will do, school's out for summer. So we will do the kids patterns. And I think by the time we get into like the first week, like 4th of July, we're going to be looking at craft patterns. After that, well, there's the Stitch and Save and See and Sew. And I think that's going to finish out the rest of the month of July. And then by August, really the only thing I have left that I haven't dealt with is, and I've showed them to you, is the multiple patterns that I found where the envelope was gone and the directions were stapled to the tissue. And I'm going to have to very, very, very carefully take those apart and just try not to, damage the pattern too much. And I'll be selling all those at a discount. I have decided, unless it's some amazing pattern that is a $30 pattern or something crazy like that, they're probably all just going to go up for $4. So, because they're not in bad shape. It's just that someone took the envelope away and then stapled through a pattern. Who does that? But then I know who does that. This is what the stores used to do. I know that the modern stores, they apparently only take that top tab off. So when you see a pattern, there's the top tab is missing and it's a more modern pattern, it usually means that the store was getting rid of it. So, I am going to venture out someday early in the morning and I'm going to check the dumpster at Joann's because I am dying to see if they throw patterns away just into the dumpster and like maybe return that top tab and get credit for it. Are there dumpsters behind Joann's full of sewing patterns? My heart be still, right? But until next week, I hope wherever you guys are, that the weather's nice. Our weather is finally really starting to feel like summer-ish, or late spring, whichever. Because for a while there, we had some really cold weather in spite of the fact that it was May. And now it's June. And, I'm like, where's this warm weather? But it's finally warming up. So I hope wherever you are, that you are doing great and that your weather is great. And we're all looking forward to summer. Everybody's counting the days, myself included. So until next time, till next week, Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what your favorite pattern was. I know what my favorite pattern was. And I hope you have a great week and stay well. And thank you for coming by. See you later. Bye.